Hi guys and girls, Rose Burnett here, mind, body, soul balance coach, and today we're talking about learning about how to love yourself first. I think it's such an important area of self to explore, right? Because I can even speak from my own experiences. There've been definitely a long trail of history in terms of my own ability to feel self-love or self-worth. Often we can lack confidence in some area of our life, or just it might not be everything. We can feel totally confident in one area, and there'll be another area where we just don't feel so confident, and we can have a lot of self-doubt around it, right? And how do we bring ourselves back to this place of not only it is wholeness, right? It's absolutely wholeness. A lot of the reasons that we don't feel whole, that we don't feel empowered, strong, and a good sense of self and self-love and self-worth is either karmic stuff that's been imprinted on us, ways of being, things that have been said to us, experiences that we've gone through where we've had to spend more of our childhood and teenagehood protecting yourself in certain ways rather than trying to enjoy life, right? You might have gone through those kind of experiences. That can have a significant effect on your self-esteem and self-worth, yeah. It can just be negative life experiences, things that have dented your ego, how you feel about yourself. Often it's in relation to other people. They're often playing out something else that's happening in their life, right? How they've grown up, or it might be just how they are. I don't honestly think that people go out to actively hurt other people, right? Everybody kind of wants to do the right thing by other people or do their best. They're often trying to do their best. What happens in that instance is that depending on how you've grown up in life, what you've gone through, your best might not be great, right? But that's all you've got in terms of your internal resources at that point, if that makes sense, right? You show up with how much you grow as a person and how much you learn about life and learn about relationships. And if you don't have great examples, that's how you show up. But often people don't actively go out to hurt other people. A lot of it can be subconscious. They often know that they're doing stuff, but they don't know why, and they don't know how to stop it, right? That comes from learning and waking up to how things are tripping you up in life. But let's come back to, and I think it's really important, that message, because it can significantly impact your life experiences and the people around them. You might be doing that to other people, right? But it still impacts you too. A lot of that stuff's karmic. And if you're interested in that, I am doing a writing and developing a deep karmic healing program at the moment. It's just an early bird pre-registration to get notified of when it's coming out. But it does a lot around personal growth and being able to stand in your empowerment and come to be more whole, balanced, yeah, a love of self. I'll pop a link up here if you want to go check that out. But let's come back to learning to love yourself first. And what does that mean? Often what can happen in life, and depending on how you've grown up, what you've experienced, right, you can put everybody else before yourself. You can be somebody that gives a lot rather than expecting to receive from others. It can be that just how life works out, that you put your kids first, your partner first, your friendships first, your family first in front of yourself. It could be your career first, yeah. And when that happens, there's a disconnect with self, right? Often there'll be things that aren't going so well in your life. It might be your health, it might be your fitness, it might be things you want to do in your time off, it might be how you spend your time. Yeah, people might be dragging or like impacting on the time that you have off because you're allowing their demands and their needs and everything else to come before your own. So how do we learn to love ourselves first? You've got to prioritize yourself. You've got to be totally selfish. And some people are going to have a really hard time, even when I say that word, right? Because nobody wants to be known as selfish. If you want to love yourself first, you've got to be selfish, right? Is it selfish to love yourself first? Absolutely not. You know why? Because when you don't love yourself enough, it impacts everyone around you. You don't show up in the highest vibration, in the highest way that you possibly can. People get away with a whole lot of stuff they shouldn't be getting away with. It impacts you. It impacts how you feel about yourself. It impacts the level of joy and happiness in your life. Yeah. So to have that time, and it is time, right? because self-love's about time. It's about doing the things that light you up. It's about knowing when to say no to the demands of others on your time when you don't want to do something. Everything within you says, I don't want to do that. But you're doing it out of guilt, or somebody's making you feel guilty about doing it. Yeah. A lot of it comes down to setting healthy boundaries with other people. Doesn't matter who they are, right? And that can come from karmic stuff, having weak boundaries, not seeing how boundaries are supposed to be set, how people have overstepped your boundaries constantly. That'll set you up for a whole lot of life experience where you'll never speak up to get your needs met. People will constantly cross your boundaries. You'll feel zapped and drained quite a lot, right? Because you don't stand up for yourself. And whether you're doing it because you love people or you want to be seen that you're somebody that's very easygoing, you don't want to rock the boat, all sorts of things, right? It might just be that you're a very gentle soul and gentle nature. Often if you are, you've got highly angelic qualities, let me tell you that. But there's also a level of sensitivity that comes with that you need to protect. So loving yourself first. Well, what does it mean? It means taking time for self when you need it. Self-care, self-nurturing activities, doing things that light you up joyfully, whether it's your exercise, whether it's spending time with your friendships, your girlfriends, the guys, with your friends. Don't ever let anyone tell you can't do something, right? If you really want to do something and it's your passion. Everybody should be allowed to have their own friendships. If you're somebody that's trying to control your partner and saying you can't go and spend time with somebody, that comes down to your own insecurities. Own that and sort it out, right? That's something within you that comes from a lack of self-confidence, self-worth, out of balance, yeah. Often it can be relationships that you've witnessed and modelled on how there was also within those relationships growing up with one parent usually didn't allow the other to have their own interest and all sorts of stuff. It's a lack of insecurity, yeah. If you're somebody that's like that, all I can suggest to you is that you need to work on it, right? Because what will happen is that person will, unless it's what you do in that instance is you create a highly codependent relationship, right? Between the two of you, but that other person will be resenting it, guaranteed, that they can't go off and do what they want. You might be resenting somebody doing that to you, right? Some of the things to be mindful of, right, in terms of loving yourself first. So it's about that you're allowed to have your own interests, your partner's allowed to have your own interests, your children are allowed to have their own interests, right? It doesn't matter, we're all different, but we're allowed to have those things that we're passionate about that bring us joy and adventure and fun into our life, yeah? It's not about doing stuff that's socially unacceptable or that's toxic, right? Not at all. If you want to go and have a massage, go and have a massage, right? It doesn't matter how busy your weekends are and how much demands and times you are, how much demands are on your time. If you need time out for self, it's about allowing yourself that time, not feeling guilty about it. It's also exercising and getting out in nature and fitness. That's all self-love stuff, yeah. You might have a desire to do something crazy, like go travel. That's self-love. Also takes courage. But it's also in terms of like relationships. Self-love is knowing your worth, not putting up with behaviours that are against your values, all sorts of things. That's self-love, yeah. Self-love is also going after those things you want to go after and believing in yourself. And learning to love yourself first means that when you do that, it's going to radiate and improve every aspect of your life. And I can tell you that from experience, because I was somebody that always questioned not question my self-worth. I just knew that there was a lack in there somewhere. It took me a while to unravel it. A lot of it was karmic, mostly karmic, yeah. It can also be negative life experiences. You can have an experience like, for example, let me give you an example, right? You can have experiences in love relationships if that's your bugbear, which you show up and you've got a lack of self-worth, right? where relationship after relationship might not quite work out and you don't really know why, but every time it happens, it compounds, right? You don't feel great about yourself and you start doubting whether you can have a great relationship. That's a negative life experience that can impact your psyche and your ego. And your ego is really about, ego is not about, I'm going to show up and I'm amazing, right? I hope you are amazing. I hope you feel amazing, yeah. Ego is not about telling people how amazing you are, because that is not ego, right? That's somebody that feels insecurity. It's about having that knowing of how amazing you are, about having to shout it to the world. That's healthy, right? Healthy self-respect, self-worth. And I can tell you, even from experience, when you have a lack of self-worth, it's an amazing place to be when you can look at yourself or walk along and go, you know what, I'm amazing. There's no ego in that. Hello, congrats. You just got your self-worth back. You are amazing. You are beautiful. It's a consistent activity that you need to work on if somebody's got low self-worth, lack of self-confidence, yeah. But you can bring it back up, absolutely. All sorts of things you can do to bring it back up. Put yourself first. Spend time with self. Do self-nurturing activities, whether it's taking time for a bubble bath, putting on a guided meditation, candles. Oh God, let's lay it on. What else could we do? We could have a glass of champagne while we're there if it's late at night. Guy or girl, girls, face mask on. Whatever. That's self-love. That's self-nurturing. Hello, pampering. Right? Doesn't cost you much to do that. It could just be having a coffee out at a cafe and totally enjoying the moment of it and looking at the view. Find somewhere beautiful to sit and have a view, right? That's self-love, self-worth. It doesn't have to always be on your own, right? But it is about putting yourself first, your needs first. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean about being totally selfish with other people and going, I'm more important than you. Absolutely not. You've got to balance it, right? Otherwise, your relationships are going to be up the creek. Yeah. It's about taking some time for yourself to appreciate your own divinity, to appreciate how amazing you are, and to build yourself up. All right. If you've got any comments, hey, pop them below, particularly on how you build your self-worth, your self-love, or if you're feeling a little out of sorts, you can share that too. All right. For now, much love, much light. Namaste.